Hi. Hello, everyone. Hi, Dedria. I'm going to allow people to come into the room, so please take your time. You guys don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, the 6 of you who are in this room. Ooh, Christina, hi. Are you guys enjoying this season of 90 Day Fiancé? There's a lot of TV on right now. There's a lot of TV on. I'm not caught up with Seeking Sister Wife, but I feel like either I didn't record an episode or I'm behind. I know I'm behind, but I'm not quite sure what's going on in that world. But I am enjoying this when I can sit down and actually relax and watch it. So I'm just going to give maybe I'm going to give 5 minutes. Okay, we've already got a minute and a half down. Just a couple more minutes for people to come in, and then we're just going to go ahead and get started. Let me see what time is it in the UK. What time is it in the UK? Is the UK like the US where there's different time zones? Oh, it's 4 a.m. Oh, we're not getting any UKers in this chat today. 4:01 in the AM. Okay. Hi, Shannon Van. And all the shows, all the couples that are funny, they show it by playing silly music underneath them. Have you noticed that? It's plenty silly music underneath Sean and Christine. I'm doing both episodes 3 and 4, so. And let me tell you who I'm just not into. Bridie and Host. Every single time they got on the screen, I found myself on TikTok. For real. I'm interested in Victoria and Sean because Sean is an international man of mystery. And the way Victoria giggles through everything and the things that she gets upset about are so interesting. I love Katie and Guillermo because it's real. Like that's real love, and I love to see it. And Katie's such a sweet, awesome girl. Except for, I got to go in with some of her behavior in Mexico. Yeah, she's a bumpkin. It feels like she's low-key a little bit of a bumpkin. And then who else? I mean, Richard, we all know Richard is here for the shits, right? He's here for the shenanigans. Richard will take any attention. He probably loves the fact that his DMs are busting wide open right now for all these silly ladies in the world. And Kathleen is probably stressing herself out, losing hair, trying to combat him and his DMs. She probably demands that she check his DMs every night. So crazy. That it's, I am so grateful that it's one of the reasons why I'm grateful to have had the dating experiences that I've had during this technological time in our lives. Because when I think of somebody sneaking in someone else's phone to like check and make sure that they're, I guess, not cheating, when I think of people like being mad because of DMs, like it is, unloyal to start chit-chatting with somebody in your DMs, right? But the going through of it and the stress of it, like to where some people don't even have social media, so they don't have that drama with their like significant other. It's just like, it's wild, and I wouldn't want that stress. So anyways, we're about to get started. Let me get my professional voice on and get my picture queued up. Okay, ready? Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of 90 Day Fiancé, the UK, Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4. My name is Wah, and if you're new to my channel, I do recaps of relationship reality TV shows such as 90 Day Fiancé, Love After Lockup, Seeking Sister Wife, and etc. So if you are at all interested in that content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share on any social media platform that you deem fit. And if you find yourself having the hee ha-has while watching this recap, go on ahead and donate. Go give your girl a tip, okay? You can do so with PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. You can also do it actually on YouTube with a little thank you. But more importantly, thank you for being here. So happy for those of you guys who are in the room right now, and happy for those of you guys who are watching this hashtag replay gang. I super appreciate your support and love. All right, let's jump right in to this episode after that 1.5 minute intro. Okay. First couple that we're going to talk about is, let's just go with Sean and Christine, because they are one of the most interesting couples on here. It is, to me, they are not the underdogs, but they're there's so many layers to this, right? There is one, Sean feels like a little bit of a doofus, and maybe Christine is taking advantage of him in order to pay for her family. 2, is that baby his? 3, this man is poor. I don't know, like he's made choices and done things, and I'm like, sir, you can't afford this family. You don't have money to provide and protect. And he's a liar, you know. There's that. He's a liar. So there's that. But this man really wants love, and he's found it in Christine, and he is very happy. And I'm also very confused because his accent is so weird to me. It sounds South African. It sounds like, when I think of it, I think of Ronald. It's like, Daniel, my boy. Or like Sinjin. It's giving those vibes. So I, have questions. So in this episode 3, Sean is overwhelmed with excitement. He says that he's spent his savings on the visa. So he was already short on cash, and he was already sending her, I think, $400 a month. And he had savings. And in order to make his dream come true and have his best girl and his baby come to the UK, he had to blow open his savings. And I guess I have a couple questions. Is how much is a marriage visa or a fiancé visa in the UK? Because I tend to think that the US's version is about $7,000. And when he says that he had to break open his savings, I think to myself, if it's around the same amount, Sean, you did not have enough in your savings for like life. And I don't know how like Social Security works out there. I don't know about 401k and everything in the UK. So it's just, I don't know. To me, savings they're not retirement. They are monies that you put aside for rainy days and like, random home stuff, or, like emergencies that happen in your life that you have to pay for. But it's not necessarily the savings that is going to get you through old age. So I want to know what he means by that, because I'm like, you only had, however much it would cost to get a visa. Wow. So he goes and has a sit with his friends and his friend, and he talks to the friend about how things financially are going to be better for him once Christine actually gets there, because he says that he has told Christine, or at least in his mind, has had some shadow of a conversation with Christine, stating that once her and Christian got to the UK, I'm sorry if I say that going forward, I might mix up the UK and the US, that he wasn't going to send any money back to the Philippines. Like he was going to just concentrate that money on the two mouths he has to now feed, plus fixing up the apartment and adding to his savings, and most importantly, paying off his credit card debt because he is in quite a lot of debt. And so his best mate is like, yeah, that's really great and all, but have you told Christine that you are no longer a manager? And he says he hasn't. It's better to tell her in person. And we find out that this man has stepped down from cleaning manager at the grocery store because he was stressed out about Christine coming. And that's all he could think about. And that's when I got really worried for Christine. Because in what space do you have to be mentally? Like, what kind of duress and strain do you have to be under mentally to where you stop working the manager job who pays you more than it would if you were just the regular cleaning crew, because you're thinking about how expensive it is and how much debt you have and how crazy it's going to be when your partner comes. So you say no to the most money due to stress. And maybe it's just that we weren't given a good idea of what his duties were, and maybe his duties were so overwhelming that the fact that he was making more money and would probably be in a better situation to pay off his debt and pay for his family, it wasn't worth it. And then in that, I think what privilege it is to step down from a higher pay, even if it's $2 more, $3 more. Well, no. So then no, I take that back. I gotta take that back. Because if it was only $2 more, yeah, I would have stepped down too. You're right. That's fair. If it's only $2 or $3 more, I would step down too. Now, if it's like $5 more, if it's like $10 more, $7 more, then I'm like, it wasn't worth stepping down. So let me just, because I don't know how much less he was making or whatnot. But I was really shocked at that. And it's just so interesting to me how people are able to compartmentalize the good things in their lives and the bad things in their lives. And I'm unable to. Like, I am on the brink of a breakdown most days. Most days I'm just teetering on but I can't stop. Like, I can't allow that to happen. And I just think it's interesting. People are just like, this is the way I feel. But like I said, if it was only $2 or $3 less and it wasn't making that much of a difference in his pocket, and his peace of mind is better if he's not the manager, then I can see that. But also, it sounds like Sean is working a job that it doesn't have a lot of upward mobility. And so you now have 2 more mouths to feed in this tiny apartment that, once we get to talking about it, you're going to find to be very shameful. You just wonder about one's life choices. Okay. So he says that because of that stress, he chose Christine and Christian. Those are his choice. And he's definitely scared to tell her about the money. And then we get to his house. No. He's definitely, this is the quote. This man says, his my money doesn't buy happiness. Love does. Said the man with no money. Like, that's when he's like, but money doesn't buy happiness, love does. And I'm like, I hate that because the truth is that you are right, but money makes the lack of love a little bit more comfortable. So I don't believe that to be true. Like, I'm a cynic. Like, I am a cynic. I want both, but I'm not going to be without to have one, That's like the craziest thing. It's like, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense for your life unless this poor person that you're in love with, or this poor situation that you and your partner are in, you guys are happy, you're not in danger, you're not stressed out, because you could have little money and not be stressed. And if that's your ministry, then I agree with it. But I haven't been able to figure out a scenario in my life in which having less money having less money is worth love. Can we have both? I don't understand. Anyways, so his house isn't even clean, you guys. And this man cleans for a living. He's so anxious or whatever. He says that he didn't sleep with anticipation of waiting for Christine. So it's been over like 24 hours since he's been asleep. And I imagine that he was paralyzed with anxiety. Because how does one of two things? You all saw his house, right? His apartment. Not only was it not clean, it was like dusty and like crummy, but like he doesn't have much stuff. And the stuff that he does have looks like junk. And he promised her that the son's bedroom would be put together, but this man hasn't moved anything out of anywhere. And I think it's because he's just one of these people who doesn't know how to clean, even though he is a cleaner for a living, but that's easier than having somebody clean and maintain their own home. Like if you send somebody into a grocery store and tell them to mop the floor, they'll be able to mop the floor, but that person may not want to mop their own home floor because they're not getting paid to mop their own home. It's not their job, you know? And so the only thing I can imagine that stopped him from putting the home together is just him truly not understanding how, and then just somehow convincing himself that waiting for her would be the best choice because he's been living in this squalor. So he feels like, she's from Philippines, so maybe she's okay with living in it too. Or perhaps he just truly doesn't see how bad it is, which is then another mental health red flag for me. Between moving down from his job because he couldn't concentrate on being a manager, so he stepped down, to not being able to at least pave the way for the person you love. And he knew it was dirty. So he goes to the airport with his mother, and his mother is like, I've never seen him so emotional at this time, and I'm so happy for him. And then Christine and Christian get off the plane, and it's just a tearful reunion. I thought it was weird that she has Christian call him Papa Sean, when I'm like, why doesn't he just call him Papa? Is there another Papa? Is there like a Papa Joe? Is there a Papa Sean and a Papa Paul? Are we finding out that there's more than one Papa? So he gives a big hug to his father. Then there's a scene of him running up to his grandmother, and his grandmother referring to him as her heartbeat because she felt like, he's the best thing. And here's the truth. I think that something really sentimental happens with people when they see their children's children. It's just like you see your future all of a sudden. And I think she had that moment. And then her and Christine hugged, and Christine said she didn't know if they were going to do so. And so did the granny. And because they've had issues in the past, but nobody is telling us what those issues are. So we're waiting to hear on that. Then they all pile into the car. They get back to his apartment, and she walks into a Dirts McGirt's flat, and she's like upset, and she goes through cabinets and she finds dirty dishes. Not only he didn't even wash the dishes in his sink, y'all. Like, that is what I don't get. It's like one thing if you are unable to organize, and just the idea of putting this here and putting that there, and then getting stressed out because you need to buy some stuff to make it more comfortable, like a bed frame. But even the idea of moving things to and fro stresses you out, because then you just reminds you of all the things you need to purchase, but you don't have the money to purchase it. So I could see that being it, but still that there's an avoidance issue there, and like, no. So let's fix that. You're 41 years old. Let's fix it. And so she has to, you don't even wash the dishes that are in the sink, and the dishes that were in the sink, you have put in the cupboard. You have put dirty dishes in the cupboard for rats and roaches to feast on. So I can only imagine what Christine is walking into. He is ready for the idea of a family, but he's not ready for the practical application of said family. because this man is so happy about this family. And, he's worried about finances, but not worried enough to fix the issue. So the room is not ready, and Christina's upset, but she doesn't act as bad as I thought she was going to act. Like, she was like, there's a lot of things to fix, and okay, we're going to fix it. I think she's just working with what she's got right now, and she immediately want to go back to the Philippines, but yeah. Oh, I did episodes 3 and 4 at the same time with them. So we do have this heartfelt scene where she is leaving behind her 3 kids, and she's doing it for them. And I think she's going to be very upset to find out that no money will be coming from Sean, and that she's going to have to actually go out and get a job if she wants to take care of her family back home. Also, I thought it was really lovely that all of her family speaks English, including her parents. So maybe it's just the city that they're in. They offer comprehensive English speaking courses for everyone, which I think is really dope, because that means that when he's able to talk to her family, and it's like that's a smooth line of communication, and the son has heard English before. So I just think that it might help them out in their future job endeavors or future times, coming to the UK. Whew. So we have a scene where Sean and Christine allow us to know that they have had sex, and that she's pretty wild, and that they had a lot of catching up to do, and that she's going to continue catching up with him. I feel like she was like, I'm going to continue catching up with you, and I'm going to continue cleaning this house, but you're going to figure out a way to give us your money. Like, she was like, I'm waiting for your first paycheck as she's like making dinner. So they take a cute little family outing, and they get on a little toy train that actually is on the track. So it's not a toy train, but it's like a kiddie train. And I don't think that people who live in the UK sometimes understand what a jarring experience it is going from the tropics to the cold. I mean, because you have to understand that the way the air moves is different in a tropical place. The air is usually thick with humidity, and your skin is like supple and moisturized from the literal moisture in the air. There's a lot of rain, depending on how much on the coast you are, there's fresh breezes, and those breezes are warm. But then when you go someplace that's good and wet and cold, like the UK or even like certain parts of North America, like it's a different. I'm not even going to say difference. It's a different. Okay? It is the air, in the space around you that you don't see is different in your body. And Sean was not aware of that. And Christina's just like cold the whole time. So they get on this train, and she says like the ice is like cutting her face, and that she's never dealt with weather like this. And he tries his best to make them happy, and it works. So then they go home, and he's holding the Christian on his shoulder, and Christian is fully asleep, and dad is just like literally walking around the home holding him. Like, at no point does this man decide to put that kid down. He just sits down on his computer table and just I mean, the truth is I don't know if he has any kind of chair to sit in besides the kitchen table chair and his computer chair. I don't know that he has like an actual table or like a couch. So when he sits down on the computer chair with the baby, like he can't like put the baby down on the mattress. It's like, I mean, he can, but would he be able to get back up again? I mean, just not conducive. So she says that he's gained a bunch of weight, and so she's cooking on some what looks like new kitchenware, and she gives him just like a little bowl of food because she says that he's gained weight, and he'd admit that he had, and that he's just been at home living his life, doing what he wants to do, and like playing video games and chilling. So like that's why. And I thought to myself, when he said he plays video games, I said, oh, you could have got a second job? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't know that I could date somebody who's a gamer. I don't know that I could. I would like to think I could, but I don't know that I could. I think I would be really annoyed hearing the sounds of the game, hearing them like upstairs doing whatever with the game, unless they played the game the exact same time I watched TV. But otherwise, I'd be like, what are you doing? And to hear that this man is struggling for money yet is playing video games, no. Mm-mm. I think I could only date somebody who played video games if they only played video games like either when the exact moment I was busy, and as soon as I was done not being busy, they gave me attention, or if they only played video games when I wasn't around, you know? But I know that that's not the gamer life, right? Don't people who play games like set up their games to play at a certain time of day so they could be on there with their friends or whatever? Isn't it like a community? So, yeah, I just don't know that I just don't want to hear it. I just there's something about the generation that I am of it where I'm like, oh, because when I used to play video games as a kid, there was literally nothing else for me to do. I was a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, go do something. Go do something productive. And I know I'm wrong for that. I'm not saying I'm right. I know I'm wrong for it. I just don't know that I could do it. You'd have to only play when I wasn't there. How about if they play video games on their phone? You know what? No, that's annoying too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'd be like, what are you doing? Even now when I'm with people and they're on their phone, like unless we're both on our phones at the same time, like if I put my phone down, you need to put your phone down too. Because now I like we're watching TV, you're like, I don't know. I'm weird about it. I accept it. Okay. I'll work on myself and I'll think through my feelings and come back with you with an update one day. Okay, so that's where we end off with them, but this is going to be a good segment for them, I think, because there's a lot of drama with them and it's good fun drama. Okie dokie. Let's move on to Richard and Kathleen because Richard loves himself. This man loves himself. He actually follows my podcast channel. So if you haven't followed it, I mean, what's the excuse? Here's my podcast channel. Go on ahead and follow that. If Richard from 90 Day Fiancé UK follows me on Instagram with Docusweeties, so should you. So just go on ahead and give us a follow on Instagram. We're not even covering 90 Day Fiancé UK, and he follows us. So I don't know if he actually follows me, though. That'd be interesting. But y'all, Richard loves this limelight. I can already tell. He is over the top. And this is where we are with this gentleman. He rates his body a 5 or a 6. I said a 5 or a 6? And then I thought, oh, he's not from LA, like he's not from this part of the world. So that's why he thinks he's a 5. That's why he thinks he's a 6. But I don't think he's unattractive. I'm just like, so he is the quiz king. He has a company where he goes around to different bars and they create the software and something else and do all that. And, they do all of it for the quizzes for the pub quiz. He loves him some Alfie. So Alfie's his little son. And he refers to Alfie as being a legend. Them two love each other. I love to see it. I love to see a dad and son duo, who love each other. His son says, my dad's my best mate. And I was like, oh my God, that idiot. But it's still cute at the same time. So he says that he wants to be the boss at home and the boss at work. He thinks that his son is a comedy genius. This grown man thinks that his 11-year-old son is a comedy genius. That was so sweet. Wasn't it the sweetest thing? It's so sweet to have your dad like you so much. I mean, not only love you, but genuinely like you. And then he says that Alfie is his mini me, and I couldn't knock it. I couldn't hate on it. We love to see it, you guys. We love to see a parent-child relationship. We love it. We love it. We love it. Damn moi. He's average. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. He's fine. Who cares? He's fine. So then he asks his son, how would it feel if Kathleen came over? And his son says that the house wouldn't be so dirty. And again, I'm just like, I feel for these Filipino women who have to come to the UK to clean up after these men. It couldn't be me. It couldn't be me. So the next segment we have is we find out that he is doing naked quiz at the pub. And then we get a shot of all of these people at the pub. And every last, like, these people, I wanted to see it. I was like, this is just, it was just a lot of hair on a lot of bodies and just a lot of regular ass people, you know? And I said, you guys, you better go off. You guys go off. I saw a lot of saggy butts, a lot of big bellies. And I was like, yes, you guys go off. I couldn't do it. I don't have the confidence to do something like that. And all of these older British people were just naked in a pub. And then we have, like, I think we had a shot of Richard's butt, and I was like, wow, that man is naked. And I just want to know, like, what it all looks like. Like, what are we working with here? Or is there just I wanted to know. I just wanted to know. I just don't understand sitting in public without any undergarments. I literally can't compute. Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's like, I can't have my, like, I just can't have my innie exposed. You know what I'm saying? I just can't have, like, now I imagine that they're not necessarily sitting spread eagle. I mean, the men, I don't know. I just don't know how men's mechanics work, but I would say the women, I don't know, unless they're like, they'd have to sit in a very specific way for their just like that part to be flush with the bar stool, you know? It would be a very porn star look to have that happen. So I think you might be able to avoid it. But if you couldn't, like, then you would have to get, like, a towel, right? You have to come with your own towel just to, like, give it a little barrier between your cooter and the bar germies. But anyways, I still was like, you guys better go off. And there's a whole camera crew there, and they showed all their faces. So it's not like they're just in this pub naked and no one's got their phones out. No. There's more than just a phone out. There is an entire camera crew, and no one's face is covered. You know? We were just seeing a sea of just elder white people bodies. Just. And then I thought to myself, what if they were just all black people? And I literally couldn't imagine it. Even now I'm trying to, like, think of it, and I'm like, I cannot imagine. I can imagine the body of I can imagine, like, one or two black folk doing that, but an entire room of it. What if just, like, an entire room of, like, other groups of people? I would need to see it. This is the pose. You'd have to, like, I mean, you would literally have to, like, you have to go get lessons from Coco, of Ice and Coco, you know, booty model from the 90s. Like, I don't know. That's a deep arch in one's back in order to get that part of one's body flushed to a bar stool. Now that you guys have all thought of that with me, and you're all visioning a sea of bodies. Um, Hi, welcome. Hello. What did I even talk about right now? So we have a scene where he tells Kathleen about the naked quiz, and she's mad. She's like, nobody should be seeing your body part, but me. And I'm like, ma'am, when's the last time you've seen it? They haven't seen each other in 2 years. Nobody should, like, she's protective of people seeing whatever it is that he's got down there. He refers to as little Richard. And now I'm just like, well, is it worth being seen? Is it worth? Is what Richard has got, is it worth being seen? That makes me wonder, because I'm like, if she's upset about it, it may be worth being seen. And I'm like, I would like to see it. Oh, me too, in some aspects, for sure. That's why I'm like, go off, because they're able to do this. Yorkshire tea bags. Oh gosh. Just a moving and a grooving. Just a slanging and a danging. Okay, so she's mad. She tells him, you'll never do that again. He's like, well, I'll ask you the next time I do it. And she's like, no, you'll never do it again. Ooh, that's what nudism is about. Feeling comfortable no matter what you look like. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of pierced nipples in that too. There was two gentlemen sitting next to each other. I mean, at least in their 60s, with nipple rings. One of them had a nipple ring that, like, one was going in this way and one was going in this way, like a crisscross. The other one had, like, I mean, the rings were pretty, like, they weren't as thick and as big as my earrings. No, they were as thick as my earrings and just a little bit smaller on his nipple. Go off. This is all coming back to me. This is all coming back to me. I didn't write any of this down. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so Christine is mad about that, and she says, you're never going to do that again. And he says, okay, and he's got to think about, her feelings. And he says that, and then, like, 2 scenes later, we have him completely not thinking about her feelings. So he talks with his ex about the fact that he's going to see Christine, and his ex is like, you can't just go off wherever you want to go off. You have responsibilities here. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I thought that was weird, because if he hasn't seen Christine in 2 years, that means that he hasn't been gone that much. And I don't know. She feels like he's shirking his fatherly responsibilities, which I was just like, is he? I don't know. Is he? I didn't get that. So I didn't understand where it felt like made up drama a little bit. But she says that Richard definitely has a wandering eye. And so she knows that Kathleen is in for, a world of trouble dealing with Richard. And he tells her basically, okay, I'm gonna go on this trip, and then the next time you're gonna be able to go on your trip. So, just work with me on this one. And then we've got a scene of him packing, and he's packing all of the things that he needs, including, what does he call it? A banana hammock, like his little Speedos and lots of lube. And he talks about how he's going there to look at all the hot ladies, but he's not going to touch them. He's only going to touch Christine. And then he admits to us that sometimes he says things to Christine to make her jealous so that he can tell whether or not she truly loves him. He says something like, a little jealousy is good for a relationship or something or other. And I'm like, it sounds very stressful for Christine, because who wants to be put through those trials and tribulations in order to prove that they love their significant other? Not me. So seems toxic to me. Okay. The next couple that we're going to talk about, and we got introduced to them in this episode for the first time, is Emma and Sen. Even though his name is Hoisin, she calls him Sen. Now, from this picture, you might think that Emma is a little frumpy. And the truth is, she's absolutely not. She's 44 from wherever, she is in the UK. It looks like it's a small place, but it's a place where she's able to fully have an apartment and a life as a manager of a Persian restaurant, takeout restaurant. So I'm always envious of people who could like make a living working a regular job and they don't have to like kill themselves to work it. She says that she just goes there and tells people what to do and it's easy. And I'm like, wow, good for you. And she's got style. It's like weird. You can't tell from that picture. Maybe if we could actually see her full outfit and maybe see her shoes. But that high pony is not a fluke. She wears her hair in different styles. Her makeup was always done, even though it looks like she doesn't have any makeup on there. And I truthfully don't think she has a lot, but she has on like foundation and she has no eyeliner on. She has little bitty eyelashes. It's almost like she's giving me like, her nails are done. It's just weird. It's interesting that she's a very stylish, put together lady, but the makeup is like, no, I'm not going to do that. So it just feels like, oh, I mean, she's not even giving us like a nude lip. She's not even giving us like a little eyeliner and a mascara. There's no dimension to her face. She just has on foundation and maybe she does her brows. I don't remember. But then that's it. Maybe a little mascara. It is very, very nothing makeup. But everything else is done. Her hair is slicked. It's in a pony. It's either in braids. You know, she's wearing a blouse. She's wearing jeans. You know, she's put together. And her and her girls, they look good. I said, again, go off. And she talks about how she lives in a small little town and everybody knows everybody. And there's like 3 pubs and like you can get your hair done and your nails done and your makeup done. But that's about it. And I'm like, wow. And her daughter absolutely do that. Her daughter's a little cutie patootie too with blue eyes and like long lashes. And I said, okay, I'm here for it. You know what? I love it when I feel like a woman is like put together. There's something envious about it for me. I know it's not for every woman and I'm not saying every woman should do that. But for me, I'm a little envious of women. Like I like that. I like to see effort and that the women put into themselves. And she was giving that. And or she just knows that she's on TV and she has to come correct. Like, did she buy a new outfit for TV? Either way it goes, I appreciate it. And I want to honor that. And I want to say, like, I see you, Emma. So she's dating some man named Sen, and he's from Iran. And her friends think that she likes dating him because she loves the fact that she's dating a younger man. And she says that she's met him one time and they didn't have sex. So she doesn't like know if they're going to work out. And I'm like, she's like, well, I don't know if he doesn't like me. And he has on his chest the word father in English and like some words underneath it, but he doesn't speak very good English. And she says it's getting better. And I think they've been talking, if I'm not mistaken, for 6 years. Am I mistaken, you guys? I heard that, you know, she was like, oh, it's been 6 years when she's talking to her daughter. And I didn't know if she meant it was 6 years between her last relationship or 6 years that she's been dating Sin. And the reason why I'm confused about that is because she says to her daughter, and her daughter says to her, it's just been the 2 of us since I was born. And so when they say that, I'm like, oh, it's just been the 2 of them. So the 6 years must be the amount of time she's been talking to Sin. So I don't know. She's 44 versus I don't know how old he is exactly. He's, to me, not that young. I don't know. Is it say here? Do I have it in my little picture? No. No, it doesn't say it. So anyways, she buys him clothes and she likes it. She likes to see him try on the stuff that she purchases. But when he gets too much, she's like, nah, buy your own stuff. And she says that he likes to tell people in Iran, like when they're like, oh, where did you get that shirt from? Where'd you get those sneakers from? Where'd you get that scarf from? That he's like, oh, it's my wife in the UK. And I'm like, wife? Are y'all married? So it was all very confusing. I won't believe anything until they consummate their marriage. I mean, their wedding. I mean, their relationship. They got to consummate that relationship because I don't want her to be stuck with somebody who isn't giving her the business. Part of me thinks that there might be a little bit of he may not be into her as a woman, you know. He's a bodybuilder, she says. That's what he does for a living, and he just like likes to look good all the time. So She asks her daughter if it would be okay if he came, and daughter says, I guess, it's your life or whatever. It's weird, but I guess. And she's like, well, I got to give it a try. I got to try this chance for love. And I'm interested in seeing how he behaves. But I feel like we still haven't met one other couple. And I'm like, why are they taking so long to introduce us? Is this going to be a super long season? Next couple is Sean and Victoria. You know what I noticed while I was watching this episode? That the dress she's wearing in here has fans all over it. So I'm like, what is this pattern? Is this supposed to be like Japanese style pattern? And she's made like a cute little dress out of it. A little on the nose, dear. No? Just a little on the nose? All right. Victoria and Sean. So they leave London and they go to Birmingham, and she's very excited about it. So they get to Birmingham, and I guess they're in some kind of hotel or something, but it has a kitchenette, and she's very excited about it. And she's happy to just not be in London anymore. She thinks that London is noisy and too fast paced and very expensive and not close to her family. And I've just never met somebody who's just so anti the city. It was just interesting the way she's just like, nah, this is not for me. I am a small town girl. I'm a suburbs girl. You know what I'm saying? She's like, New York City is cool, but get me back to Jersey. And so he agrees to go with her and find a flat because he's got a tourist visa for, I think, 3 months. And so he's agreed to kind of set up shop with her. And she's very excited about that, but also very nervous because she doesn't truly understand his intentions with her. She feels like he isn't being honest. And, we all know he's not being honest. It's just really weird. It's just really, really weird that he won't just tell her. And it's not weird. I mean, some people are like this. Some people are vague and like are weird. Some people are like that. But it's interesting how upset it makes her. Anyways, so he's kind of worried about being in Birmingham because he feels like he's not going to find much of Japanese culture. And that he's going to find more opportunities and ways to make friends in London. And he's right. And she says, that's fine, but I'm not stopping you from going to London. You can go and visit and stuff, but I just can't set up roots there. Like, it's not something I can do. And so he's just agreed to kind of hang with her for, I guess, as long as he can kind of take it. And there's a scene early on in their segment where he's like, oh, this apartment is very cute. And she's like, yeah, it's small, it's tiny. And he's like, oh, so my room in Japan is very really, really smaller than this. And she's like, really? And he's like, yep, you really in Japan, most things are smaller. And she says, I know. And he goes, oh. And then in his confessionals, he's like, it's a joke, okay? And I'm like, oh no. And she goes, no comment. And I'm like, I mean, I listen, the size of a person's privates are very just sensitive. It's a sensitive thing. And I wouldn't comment on someone's size unless I was ready to just torch and burn that bridge, I don't ever want to make anybody feel any. I just super sensitive to. And she said it on national TV, and I believe her, because why else would you make that joke with the person you love? Shannon Vad. I mean, it was like, that's a red flag. She got to go. Because here's the truth, like we didn't need confirmation. We didn't need that. It was wildly unnecessary. I said, "Oh, she's tired of him. She is tired of him." She is tired of him. So she's excited to have the kitchen in order to make a proper British meal, and so she chooses to do bangers and mash. And then she tries to explain to him what she's like, bangers and mash, and he's like, what, bangers? And she's like, bangers and mash, and he's like, bangers and mash, and she's like, oh, sausage and mashed potatoes, and he's like, oh, very okay, and he eats it, and he says that he likes British food. And I was confused as to exactly what British food is. Is it beans and toast and ketchup? It's obviously bangers and mash, and it's obviously fish and chips, but like what else? I want to try bangers and mash though. I want to try it for sure. Said no whatever. Oh my god. Potatoes and meat. Yeah, I love potatoes and meat, but I want to taste what is the British way of it. And then she says it's in a onion gravy, and he's like, "What? Onion gravy?" And you know what I find interesting is with anybody's different cuisine, like in the US and I'm sure in the UK too, there are kind of things that are staple. I spit all everywhere just now. There are foods that are kind of staple foods that are put together, and we as Americans don't think anything of it. But in another country, that food is consumed differently. And one of the things that always jumps to mind in for me is that in Japan, they make a red bean paste that's sweet. And most of the bean things that I've ever had in the US that are either dips or beans themselves or, whatnot are not sweet. Beans to me are savory. And so the texture of a bean being sweet and room temp or cold was always very weird to me. But it's just because it's taking something that people eat and making it in a different fashion. So I can only imagine like the different flavors that he's getting in the UK and whatnot. Like I think that like Japanese food is bomb. Like, well, what Japanese food I eat, which would only be like sushi and ramen, but ramen is like literally the best. I've loved it since it was top. You know what I'm saying? I've loved top ramen since it was top. I loved ramen since it was top. Anyways, yeah, so Lisa says beans for breakfast in the UK is weird to me. But what's funny is that Caribbean people will eat beans in the breakfast for breakfast too. And so will like Latino culture, like Mexican culture will have like chilaquiles and rice and beans. Like, so beans for breakfast is not totally weird for me, but Lisa, I can 100% see how you would think that because it's not normal in like the US cuisine. Shepherd's pie is delicious. Well, the shepherd's pie I've had has been well seasoned and delicious. But that's a good one to add. So bangers and mash, shepherd's pie, and fish and chips. Cool. So she makes fun of his penis on national TV, and then we talk about bangers and mash and onion gravy. And maybe he didn't know what gravy was. I think that was the weird thing. Like gravy is a thing we do in the US too. So not everybody has gravy in their food. So she says it is proper pub grub. And he was like, those plosives, that alliteration, proper pub grub. That wasn't an alliteration because the G, but that was a little hard for him to say too. And her nervous laughter bothers me because it gives off a deception as to if she's upset or happy. And I get that it's a nervous laugh. And so a lot of times if she's giggling, it's not because she's happy. It's because she's awkward, but she has to say the thing, and like adding the giggle makes her feel better. And maybe she thinks it makes the other person feel better. But for me, it's like, stop it. Stop. Just say the thing with intent, because then she doesn't have levels, right? She's giggling when she's talking about things that she finds to be important. But when she's so overwhelmed with saying it, she then is like angry. She shouldn't. It's weird to me that she like goes from giggling to being serious and angry. But it's like when she's giggling, she's actually upset, but because she's giggling, it's masked. So I don't think he understands her like way she's emoting. So episode 4, they're living together, or they're going to look for a flat together. And he's sitting down and he's talking to his sister, and she just like bombards the conversation and was like, I want to meet your sister. And then we find out that she hasn't met any of his family. And that, you know, his sister doesn't speak very good English. And then what's interesting is that when we're listening to the sister speak, whoever produced this or whoever edited it is not providing us subtitles of what the sister is saying. So we don't know what she's saying to Victoria. Neither does Victoria. And Sean is left to interpret. But we all know that Sean is not to be trusted. So I thought that was really interesting that not only was she totally reliant on Sean, not only was she reliant on Sean providing the translation, but so were we. And normally we're not. Normally they go ahead and edit it for us and tell us what they're saying. So she is finding that as to be another red flag that she doesn't meet his family. And then we have a scene where he meets her friend. And the friend is going to ask him all the questions that Victoria is too shy to ask, or Victoria has already asked but not received a good enough answer for. And so the friend starts to ask questions, and Sean is like, oh, wow, this is an interrogation. And she's like, it's not an interrogation. We just have questions. And so again is brought up the timeline of his ex-wife. And again, I do not understand it. But that's just me. Like, I feel like if the man said he wasn't with his wife and he started talking to you, then was he with his wife or not? And he's, let me go on him. So the friend brings up a conversation about him talking to other ladies on Facebook, and Victoria goes, I'm not stupid. I know you're talking to other women. And he's like, well, no, of course I have lady friends, but like, I'm not talking to them in any other manner. So we find that's one of her insecurities, that he might be dating other people at the same time dating her. And remember in the very first episode, she said she claims that Sean is her best friend and that she talks to him every day, and that it to me seems like she's much more into this relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend than he is. Like, I think he's just kind of like, she refers to him as being quite nomadic. And I think that's kind of what his life is, just kind of moving around and seeing what he likes and going with the flow. And I don't necessarily think he's cheating on her. I just don't know that he's giving her what it is that she wants. And she's not explaining specifically what it is that she wants. And then we find out that there's some timeline mistakes about if he was married when the friend went over to Japan to meet him. And then if and when he lived in New York City and worked there. And Victoria claims that he told her that he lived and worked in New York City. And he is like, no, I never said that. It must be a misunderstanding. And she's like, no, yes, that's what you told me. And I just think it's kind of unfair for her to allow her friend to interrogate him or have this conversation when she should just like lady up and just like ask him all the questions. And when he refuses to respond to her, just break up with him. You guys live in completely different cities. Just break up with that man. Like, you allowed yourself to be emotionally attached with somebody who isn't in the same zip code as you. So you're just going to have to like take the 1-2s as they come. And if there's too many punches, 1-2 punches, then like you got to move on, lady. And I think Victoria just like wants something from him. It's weird because it feels like she wants him to be different and he's not going to be. And we all can see that. So at that point, we want her to just walk away with her dignity. Hi, Robin. Hello. Hi, Joy Murray. I think so too. I think so too, but I don't want to call it yet because I don't know what the scam is. So I'm just like, I don't know what it is. What could he possibly be getting? He's already been married once and it was international. And that person was close to him because, as we find out, his wife came to his mother's funeral And Victoria feels like, I was there for you during that time. I was providing you support. I was doing all this. And come to find out that your wife was there. And like, and he's like, oh, well, you know, she's my wife and she knew my mom. Like, that's the way I felt. And she's like, oh, well, I feel like a home wrecker. I said, Katie, Victoria, what year is it? You're not a home wrecker. What are you talking about? And she wants him to tell her whether or not the reason why him and his wife broke up was because of her. And I said, Katie, no. The reason why him and his wife broke up was because of Sean. Who could stay married to that person? I don't understand his charisma at all. Like how he has a wife and Katie and Victoria. I keep calling Katie Victoria, Victoria Katie. How he has a wife and Victoria is just like really awkward to me. Like, are there just like is there just like a line of international women who just like want to date a Japanese man by hook or by crook? There is nothing, there is like, Sean doesn't give me anything. I don't get it. You know, he doesn't have to me, he's not giving a dynamic personality. He's not giving fun times. He's not giving like anything. He literally just gives you half truths and awkwardness and doesn't want to tell you what he does. Why are you even entertaining this person at all? You are the one that is making the mistakes, not him. She feels like a home wrecker. Girl, grow up. All right. Let me just talk about Birdie and Host real quick because, like, did I already talk about them? Yeah, I briefly told you. I don't have anything to say. Here are my notes. Talks with sister. Yeah, so when Birdie comes home, she talks with her sister at a pub, Eden. I'm gonna tell you right now, I went on TikTok. Don't know what they talked about. Then they have a scene where she's like yelling at him because he's like, I'm not going to stop talking to my lady friends because that's rude. There's no reason. And she's like, well, you're willing to waste our relationship because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Do you really love me? And then like what seems like 5 minutes later, she starts laughing and tells him that she apologizes. These two are not going to make it. I believe that they love each other, but I think that they're toxic. And I hate for him to come to the UK and be arguing with her in front of her girls, number one. Number two, this crazy ass lady tells us, the American population and the UK population, that she is going to sell her home so that she could pay for the, I don't know, tourist visa fees. I thought she said tourist visa. And I said, you are not going to sell your house for a tourist visa. I don't know how big of a deal it is to sell your house. I don't know how much money she's going to get from her house. But in the US, I feel like depending on what part of the country you are, if you sell a home, you're at least getting $100,000. I mean, I don't know how much homes are in like Mississippi, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying in California, your house is at least $450,000. So if you sell that house, you are selling a lot. Or if you're selling a condo, you're at least giving 50,000 something. Like, how much is our house worth? Every time these people start talking about what they had to do to make the money to get these visas, I have so many questions. Is it just way more expensive in the UK to do something like that? Oh my God. I just was like, that sounds so stupid. When they fight as much as they fight, no. Sell her house for the money for the visa. Girl, I didn't know if it was a tourist or I mean, at least with the marriage or the spousal visa, that it's because they're going to get married and she's investing in the relationship. But if it's a tourist visa, are you able to transform a tourist visa into a permanent residence situation? Liverpool last. Oh, thank you here. Oh my God, what is it, like 5 a.m? Thank you for joining us. She's selling her house. What a fool. And the tourist visa is the hardest to get. She should just marry him and do a spousal visa. 150,000. The house will be approximately 150,000 will be the house. Okay, the house will be. It's just like it's just like crazy to me. I don't understand. Okay, let's move on to Alejandro and Katie, because Katie is problematic, but I think we have to kind of forgive her, because I realize now that Katie is the equivalent of like a country bumpkin. I mean, the way she acts in Mexico. She says a couple of things that I'm like, oof, KT. KD, you know? Ah, wow. So she travels to Mexico, and she can't even be bothered to learn a couple of phrases in Spanish. And y'all know how I feel about these English speakers going to these foreign countries and not learning their language at all, or having a partner come from a foreign country and not learning their language at all. I mean, she is a village girl, okay? So I'm going to give her some leniency with some of the like weird, microaggressions she had. I think she just is just uncultured and doesn't know. So, but she's sweet as pie, and so that's why I'm gonna give her a pie, because I know it doesn't come from a place of hate or like maliciousness. It's just pure ignorance. The first thing is that she can't even say the name of this man's city right. And maybe I'm a little privileged in the fact that I grew up in a place that's not that far from Mexico. So I have quite literally heard the name Guadalajara said so many times that there's just like no reason for me to not be able to say it. But the name of that state is Guadalajara. And this woman says Wahaladara. So I just made it to Wahaladara. And I said, no, it's a Guadalajara. I I mean, wow. And she gets off the plane, and he loves every moment of it. They love each other, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the love. I love to see Katie and Alejandro love each other. I love it. And she's just so cute, and he's so cute, and they're so cute together, and they kiss, and they're just so cute. So they get into the cab, and she's like, "Oh my god, Denny's." And he's like, "Oh, Katie's very into all the American things that are in Guadalajara, but like I want her to like Mexican things." And I'm like, "You have to understand. I don't know if Katie's been to the US, but I think because the way the US is just like pumped into so many foreign countries' lives, that when they see things that they don't have in their own country, I think, it's exciting to get excited, because she wasn't excited about McDonald's or Starbucks, because they have McDonald's and Starbucks in the UK, but they ain't got no Denny's. And so I see her, being excited for it. Hi, LA. Welcome. So she's a little annoyed with that. And then she says, "I'm so excited. I want to walk on the streets without my shoes." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "I did it in Spain or something, girl." And I said, I can see you. I could, maybe the country, maybe the countryside. But you're not gonna get off in the middle of like a street and just like walk around with no shoes on. That's weird. Then they stay with his family, and she's a little concerned because this is the first woman that he's ever brought home, and he's really insistent that Katie's going to stay in the bedroom with him. And his parents are very Catholic, and they're like, "Well, they got to get God's blessing first, so it's great." They pull up to his house, and she says, "It looks like a prison." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "I don't know, I guess because of the bars." And I said, "Girl, I know you've been traveling for 48 hours, but I think what you shouldn't do is ever tell someone that their house looks like a prison." That when I tell you she's a bumpkin, this is what I'm saying. This is just someone who's uncultured and would like. She's just. I mean, I can imagine like her home. Maybe she's like in the country, and like bars are not a thing, but like in major cities, it's people have bars on they just do, and it's not, it just is what it is. So there was that. She gonna tell his house is like a prison. because of the bars. And this woman did not learn not a nothing in Spanish, girl. Not a word. Okay, she walks in that lady's house and she's so excited to meet his parents and she hugs and they're excited to meet her. They can't understand each other and she's like, "Tell your mother she looks gorgeous. She's gorgeous. I love her." And then she says, "Oh my God." And she grabs the mother's hand, rubs her skin, and says, "I love your tan." Katie, it's not a tan. That is the color of that woman's skin. That is the color of that woman's skin. And that's where I go again. She's such a bumpkin and she's uncultured because, it's she is in her home base. Okay? She is from her home base. She is indigenous to her lands that she is from. Okay, she's not a transplant, so I could see her living in a small village or something, like a little hamlet, if you will, where she only sees people that look like her, and they're all very British, very pale. And then but you are still British and you are still told that your country's the best and that they went around just like colonizing different places and like taking over and doing whatever. And then so you go and visit a foreign country and you tell a woman there that you like her tan and you rub her skin because you just don't understand that she is a different person with a different background than you, and you don't even know how to tell that woman good night. She's like, "How do you say good night?" And he's like, "Buenas noches." And she's like, Buenas noches." I mean, the one thing you should learn is "Hola, me llamo Katie, mucho gusto." And gracias and de nada and buenas noches and buenos dias, and just like the basic stuff. The basic stuff. Okay. La Rosina says she has been to Spain. Also, they have a lot of brown people in the UK, also on TV. Her comment is inexcusable, even people in the middle. Okay, nowhere. Okay. Right. All right. You know, her friends are going to have a field day with her. People in Guadalajara are cultured. Yeah. I mean, I just am like, I mean, people be knowing stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we already know that his friends. I mean, they all speak English. So I'm just saying, like, they all are like probably watching TV in other countries, like in English, and you just learn more stuff. Like if I spoke Spanish, I would watch TV in Spanish and I would know more about many of the Latino, Hispanic, culture. So I imagine that him and his friends are pretty much up on, what's happening around the world. And like this woman rubbed that woman's skin and said, "I like your tan." That's where we are in the year 2020. So, whoo, girl. This place looks like a prison. Wahaladara. And here's the truth. It's not like the woman doesn't want to learn Spanish. It's just like, why on earth would you not learn a little bit of the language of your person so that you could speak to their family? I didn't say she needed to go over there and be like fluent, but hello, my name is, good morning, good night, thank you. Buenas noches. Then in the morning, child. Then in the morning, they wake up. And I don't know if you know me and I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but child, I love me some chilaquiles. Okay? I love it. I make it. I buy it. I eat it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite meal. So chilaquiles. I will eat it at any time. I loves it. I love it if you use regular corn tortillas or if you fry them yourselves. I love them. Okay. I just no. Next morning they wake up and they go downstairs and the parents have cooked dinner. And so Katie is breakfast. Katie is desayunos, if a little Espanol there, here and there. So she sits down at La Mesa, with his father. Papa de él. So like I just like don't know how she just speaks another word in Spanish. And maybe it's because I'm biased because I'm on the West Coast and Spanish is all around me. So like there's no way I could walk away and like not knowing some stuff. But she sits down and she mistakes a grapefruit for a potato. And she's like, "Do you put cheese on it?" And I like a potato. And so then it's like just a dumb moment for her, like, she just is uncultured. And then he comes out of the kitchen and realizes she's talking about potatoes, and he translates to the dad, and the dad is like, "I don't know what's going on." And then they cut it and it's a grapefruit. It is a grapefruit. And she's having a whole conversation with him. Hustle, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it yet because I already have a rant. I already have a rant prepared for next episode when she can't eat the ceviche. Yeah, I do think that's good too. She is. I just love her. I love her. Ugh! Anyways, so she the food is served, breakfast is served. And I feel like the mother made her chilaquiles because it pretty much is like anybody should be able to eat it. I don't think that it's a meal that someone wouldn't like. And then she asks, "Is it healthy? Is it healthy?" And then he translates that, and the mother's like, "Well, it's a indulgence that we all partake in." And I'm like, "Girl, if you are visiting some people for the first time and you eat something that you know isn't healthy, maybe you don't know, okay, but you can tell it's tortilla chips." I imagine that universally, anybody who's trying to lose weight, they know that tortilla chips, we're told not to eat it, even though I feel like you're stopping me from being great by telling me I can't eat tortilla chips if I'm trying to diet. But here's the truth: I'm gonna eat those tortilla chips because they're great. I just get real angry when people tell me that other folks' cultural food is unhealthy. Like, it's delicious, I'm gonna eat it. So she's like, "Oh, I feel like right and proper because I'm eating nachos for breakfast." I'm eating nachos for breakfast. Okay, girl. Yeah. It's not nachos, but it's okay. That's what she referred to it as, and she's like, "Oh, nachos for breakfast." Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I appreciate Kate Carr. So she calls it nachos and then asks if it's healthy. And then we know that, from going on forward, she needs herself a grapefruit too. I always think it's interesting when people eat grapefruit for breakfast too. Like, to me, grapefruit is never good. Like, I have tried to like grapefruits in all of its iteration, but I really can only take it if it's like juiced and in something. Like, I can do like a grapefruit sparkling water, or like if I'm ordering an adult beverage, let's say it's like a vodka beverage, and like grapefruit was like the fruit juice that they put into it, I could do it, but I can't just eat a grapefruit. It's something very bitter about it or something, and it never goes down well. It have to be like sweet, and then like, But why is that the like? Why was that like the big diet breakfast food of the 80s and the 90s? It was like, have a boiled egg and a half a grapefruit. So weird. Anywho, so she calls those the food nachos, and they go sightseeing in the cutest market, and she's like, "Oh, I love that. I love this." And I liked the fact that she was liking Mexico, and I really want her to move to Mexico. That's all. Oh, K-Reed. Really? It does? I didn't know that. Good. And she's taking pictures of everything, and she looks like a ball of sunshine with her beautiful, like, yellow dress. And they go looking at rings a little bit, and he asks her, like, what rings would you be interested in? She's like, "Well, we talk about everything, Alejandro and I, so I would know if he was going to propose to me." Again, I was like, "They're so cute. They talk about everything. They're so cute." And so she's going to be very surprised. And she's like, "I don't care what the ring looks like as long as it fits." And I was like, "Oh, I think if somebody were to try to surprise me with a ring, they would have to like get my ring finger or ring size in my sleep, because I have big fat fingers. I found out. I'm like, I just can't buy rings off the internet. Like, they have to be sized. I think I'm like a size 8. So good for her. And that's the end of their segment. So, I mean, I hope we can all forgive Katie. I forgive her, but I just need her to, like, step it up a little bit. I need her to step it up a little bit. All right, you guys. So that is the end of this episode. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for your patience. And if you at all would like to leave your girl a tip, if you laughed at all, there's many options down below. Let's see if anybody sent me anything. Yes, so thank you, those of you who gave us a tip. I appreciate it. And y'all have a fantastic evening. Oh my gosh, it's 9:20. I showered before. What you see on my face is like my night oil. And then I popped on like a magnetic lash. So I'm just going to like do a wipe see over my eye, and just like wipe a little bit of the brow that I did off. And then, be good to go. I'm ready for bed. And I hope you guys are ready for bed too. And I hope that you guys were entertained. So have a wonderful rest of your evening too. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. I hope I got you guys through some laundry or some dishwashing or cooking or whatever it is that you've been doing for the last hour and a half. Thank you so much, Marie, Kayri, Ra, Labrosina, Shannon Van, K Car, Hustle Sweetie, Eli, Versus, Lisa, anybody else that I missed, Joy, and Leslie and Jessie Lee. Hi, Jessie Lee. Danny, and I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys either next week for 90 Day Fiancé or later this week for Seeking Sister Wives, if I could ever finish watching it. And yeah, we're getting out right when the bot is coming in. Let's go. Bye. Y'all have a fantastic week. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. Oh, Bubbly, good night.